Good evening, Canby. Welcome to the September 16th, 2015 City Council regular meeting. We're actually coming back into session from the previous one that we just came out of. So thank you for your patience and our late start. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and open prayer. Prayer first? Prayer first? Yes, thank you.
Dear Father in heaven, I thank you for Canby, a wonderful place with wonderful people, and it's a privilege and an honor and a blessing to live here. I ask your wisdom and your discernment and your courage over us tonight. Ask you to be with all of our first responders and armed forces that are in harm's way protecting us. And I ask you to bless Canby, the state of Oregon, and the United States of America. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Again, like I said, thank you for your patience. We had an urban renewal agency meeting, an exec session with that, and then a city exec session as well. So thank you for patiently waiting here and hopefully at home too with, I'm sure, freshly popped popcorn. So we're going to move in. We have a couple of proclamations this evening. The first one is for the POW MIA Recognition Day. Whereas the United States of America has participated in many wars, calling upon its sons and daughters to fight for their country. And whereas American men and women have been held captive by hostile powers during their military service. And whereas many American prisoners of war were subjected to harsh and inhumane treatment by their captors, which often resulted in death. And whereas Americans are still listed as missing and unaccounted for, and the families and friends of these missing Americans, as well as their fellow veterans, still endure uncertainty concerning their fate. And whereas the sacrifices of Americans still missing are deserving of national recognition and support for continuing priority efforts to determine their fate. And whereas the city of Canby is proud to join with other cities in the state of Oregon and nation in honoring those still missing. Now, therefore, I, Brian Hodson, Mayor of the city of Canby, hereby proclaim September 18th, 2015 as POW MIA Recognition Day in Canby, and encourage all citizens to join in this observance. Given under my hand the 16th day of September 2015. I think we've got one people here. Good to see you again.
You too.
How are you?
Yes, excellent.
There you are,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Thank you. I've been instructed by our cameraman, if you want to stand here, he can capture you and make sure people at home hear you as well.
Well, once again, as with every year, I'd like to thank the City Council and Mayor Hodson for all the work that you guys do to recognize veterans and to help assist us in the ability to help our fellow veterans and recognize their sacrifice, both past and present and future. I'd like to take a moment to let everyone know that recently we took over responsibility for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. So anything that needs to be done regarding that or events or what have you, let us know. And we were going to ask that the City Council passes a resolution to attend our spaghetti dinner on September 26th.
Write that down right now.
Well, here's your invitation. So.
Oh, perfect.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for taking over the Vietnam Memorial. I really appreciate that. I know there's been some ebb and flow and who takes care of that and how long, and all that. So I really appreciate you guys stepping up and making
We're going to
that
be
happen.
redoing the website. There's a lot of bricks that are available, memorial bricks. So ordering those and what have you, we'll pass forward the information when that gets set up. We'd really like to get it refinished, and we're going to need a little bit of help at some point. The helicopter needs to be repainted, so that has to be done every a certain number of years. So we're going to need a little assistance getting to it to be able to make that happen. So
You bet.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I happened to be by the City Hall the other day when they needed an extra set of hands to replace the POW MIA flag. So we got a nice, clean, new, untattered flag that's flying out there. And also, it's my annual opportunity to say thank you for having a spaghetti dinner, since we still don't have an Italian restaurant in Canada. But this is my one chance to do that, so I'll see you there.
But we have 3 Starbucks. I mean,
Maybe one will start serving spaghetti.
Let's see, coffee-laced spaghetti. What it takes. Thank you, guys. Our second proclamation this evening is for Manufacturing Day. Whereas manufacturing significantly contributes to the national, state, and local economy, and whereas our community is fortunate to be the home of many world-class manufacturing companies, and whereas manufacturing companies bring vitality and prosperity to Canby by providing career opportunities and investment, and whereas the community wants to introduce as many people as possible to the important role played by manufacturing, and whereas Canby's manufacturers benefit from Canby School District efforts to prepare the current and future workforce through training, job shadows, internships, and other programs, and whereas October 2nd is dedicated to celebrating the great work and innovation of the men and women who contribute to Canby's strong manufacturing economy. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brian Hodson, Mayor of the City of Canby, Oregon, do hereby proclaim October 2nd, 2015 as Manufacturing Day in Canby, and urge all citizens to join in recognizing the value of our manufacturers and the importance they serve in our community. Given under my hand the 16th day of September 2015 in the City of Canby, Oregon. And Renata, I believe you have a host of guests here.
We have a few comments to make.
Yeah, absolutely, please. Are you ready?
All right. So we're pleased to partner together on making Manufacturing Day a success here in Canby. It's been a great partnership between the high school and the Chamber of Commerce and the city. And each year we've grown the event. And this year, I'm proud to say we have 9 manufacturers providing tours, 2 of them offering to speak to high school students. And then the Chamber of Commerce has graciously allowed the October agenda to be covered with manufacturers presenting. We'll be presenting also to the Canby School Board. So, and new this year also is an open house that the Career Technical Education Center will be hosting, and I'll let Todd amplify on any of those things.
Okay, I just really like to be here to thank the local community business members and manufacturers to open their doors. We are bringing over 100 students and kind of invading these 9 manufacturing companies. And it's really nice that the students get to see what skill sets are out there and what they need to come back to school with and go, hey, there's a connection. You know, what we do at school is applicable to what's happening in the real world. It's a good event for the students. The undertaking to organize it is huge, so I have to say thank you to Renata and Jamie Netter, our school to work coordinator. They spent hours of time on the phone getting the logistics worked out. So it's
Great. And I particularly wanted to thank the 9 manufacturers that include Pioneer Pump, Product Manufacturing, Advanced Flight Systems, Veda Inc., Package Containers, Willamette Plastics, Johnson Controls, Global Stainless Systems, and Milwaukee Electronics.
open invite if you want to attend any of the visits. We always need chaperones.
You made mention of an open house.
Yes, so I do have details. The chamber luncheon is 11:30 to 1:30 on October 6th. Manufacturing Day tours are on the morning of October 2nd, 3 tours. Each student is going to be getting to see 3 businesses, which is exciting. The Canby School Board is October 15th at 6:30 at the Omni Room at the Canby High School. And then C-Tech Open House
Is, I believe, the 28th.
from 4 to 6 is what we said. And the intention is to invite all of our manufacturers to come and see all of the great things that the center has to offer.
Wonderful. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that whole manufacturing day is, I mean, that's something we've been doing now for 4 years now. Yeah, and it's amazing how we start off with just a couple, and we've now got 9 businesses involved. And it's still to this day, my favorite comment was when the students were touring past one of the businesses, they just kind of weren't paying attention. So one of the tour guides stopped them and said, "Do you realize that the stations that you just passed, these men that are working here, you know, they work Monday through Friday, it's holidays off, they're making, you know, almost $100,000 a year. So there is a career in these manufacturing jobs, and these are sustainable jobs, and they are well-paying jobs. So I think more of those messages need to be out there, and I think these tours do that. So I think it's pretty awesome. So thank you for you 3, Mallory as well, for keeping that going for our community. So thank you guys. We'll move into communications. For you, Rick, anything?
Yeah, I have nothing that I remember to bring.
Okay. Very honest. Can't get much better than that. Joe, we don't usually ask you, but do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay. Didn't want to leave you out. It's our first opportunity this evening for citizen input and any community announcements. I have one here, Dave Rankin.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Volunteer activity in Canby.
Good evening. My name is Dave Rankin. I'm here representing JustServe.org, which is a web-based registry of organizations that need volunteers. And the purpose of JustServe.org is to match people who want to do service and be volunteers for organizations, and to match them with organizations that need volunteers. And in addition to the web-based registry, JustServe.org provides an app for iPhones and iPads with the same information, as well as an Android app for phones and for tablets. And it's supported by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that is their involvement in the project, is providing the support for the app and the online registry. I'm the representative for Canby and Charbonneau, so I have a small geographic area as a volunteer, and what I do is I contact organizations that I identify that need volunteers, and these are civic organizations, churches, governmental, and nonprofits that identify as needing volunteers but not having, the funds to do all the work that they need done, and then try to convince them that it would help them out to publicize their volunteer opportunities. And once they get registered on the website, then I try to help them get the volunteers they need. Because getting registered on the website is really, that's good, but that's just the first step. Because first of all, JustServe is new. A lot of people don't know about it. But secondly, it takes some work to round up volunteers. There's a process to it. And in Canby and in most communities, there's certain organizations that are more likely to provide volunteers. And they need to know that these opportunities are posted somewhere. So in the Canby Herald today, at the back of your handout, there was a notice about the volunteer opportunity at the City Park Bureau, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, is to let you know that a couple of your organizations are posted on JustServe. There's a volunteer project with the Park Bureau scheduled for September 26th at a couple of the parks. And that's been coordinated with Jeff Snyder and the maintenance people. And Rick has been involved, and Amanda has been involved with that as well. Jeff identified several of the parks in the greatest need of some maintenance help. And so we have a pretty large project with well over 100 volunteers scheduled for Saturday morning, September 26th. And the city library is also posted, and they need 20 volunteers to help with reshelving. They don't need them all at once, but people typically can devote 2 or 3 hours at a time. So they're looking for a constant flow of volunteers. And then also posted in Canby is the food bank at St. Patrick's Church. They have 3 different positions. And also the Northwest Habitat for Humanity's Restore. And I expect to have several others posted shortly. I've been doing this since July. But I mainly wanted to let you know what's going on, and hopefully you can see that this could benefit the community, and that there are other websites that post things like this, but I don't think they actually go out and then try to find the volunteers. I've contacted the high school because they require their students to do 40 hours of community service, so the Park Bureau project is posted at the high school on the reader board, and they have copies of the flyer that you have in your handout to give to students, and they will get community service if they show up. I know we have some high school students already signed up for the Park Bureau project. So I just wanted to encourage you that as you do volunteer projects in the future, I think it would be a good idea if you had some sort of a volunteer committee. I don't think they need to meet regularly if they met once a year, but identifying people at different organizations that have an interest in volunteer work, whether it be a point person at different churches, a few point people in the business community, so that there is a way of funneling information to those people most interested in passing it on to the right people. Because it's one thing to get it in the newspaper or get it on a website, and then the next step is to get it to those people that are most interested. And if there's some advocate to pass it on, I think it's most likely then to get to the right people.
I agree.
Yeah, I did have a chance to meet with Dave, Amanda, and Jeff Snyder about the projects in 2 of our parks in Canby here a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. It was a wonderful meeting, and it's a great organization, a great effort, and we're looking forward to working with you on this project. And Amanda and I were brainstorming a couple other possible projects to post on the website as well. We think it's going to be just a really good resource for volunteers, most particularly focused on specialized one-time projects or something that's not a weekly maintenance type of an activity for us.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
This is so amazing, I have to say, Dave. 3 years ago when we did our visioning process, this was part of it. We talked about having a clearinghouse or some sort of a location where volunteers could go, where matches could take place. I've done coordination with the schools, and it's hard to find volunteers, but this is a great resource because it's general. People can come. So then you're going to kind of advertise so citizens can find this, right?
Right.
And match up, and then you will contact the organizations that need the volunteers, so you're the go-between.
Right. I'm
It's a
trying
lot of
to
work.
identify the point people at all the churches right
Okay.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good
We're
work.
hoping to get into the business community and find out which businesses are most interested.
Okay.
It works because Dave is very proactive in the community. It's very effective.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Dave.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And I do have other yellow cards, but they're all related to something in our agenda, so we'll get to you guys here when we get to that, so thank you. Thank you, Dave, for bringing that to us. Appreciate that. Moving into mayor's business, not a whole lot on my front. Two major things, Clackamas County Coordinating Committee and then the Area Commission on Transportation, so Regional Act, the liaison to on a C, so Clackamas County Coordinating Committee, so C4, couple of last met 2 weeks ago. Just some review from still reviewing some things from the retreat that we went on and talking about some of the fallout or pieces from the Area Commission on Transportation, which I'll get into in a minute. So C4 is just trying to hone the next year's worth of conversation and meeting topics, and trying to weed through some of those. The Area Commission on Transportation has had its second meeting where we've approved the bylaws for that group, and then moved into a conversation about project funding for transportation pieces. And it seems to be that things kind of coming down from the state where the different buckets, the main bucket's going to be more of about fix-it is going to be the priority over the next couple of years in terms of projects, and not a lot in terms of enhancements. And so the Clackamas County contingency pushed back quite a bit, actually, and will push back even more at the next meeting because the discussion lacked a lot of conversation on the enhancements to at least get them at least on the board and on the radar to be talking about them, and seeing how we can use that to leverage enhancements or more money towards that. So as we all know, the money comes down federally to a lot of the larger projects that we're looking at. So we're looking a lot more at Tiger grants, which are federally, a lot of federal money that we can have access to. So the whole state transportation improvement plan, known as STIP funding, is going to be a big conversation piece here in terms of the fix-it projects that are coming up. So there'll be more on that. So that's all that I really have. We'll start with council liaison reports and start with Councilor Rocha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the Canby's first street dance. I thought that was a great success. A lot of fun for the whole family. I'm really glad this first time went as well as it did, and I'm sure it'll grow from there. I attended the groundbreaking ceremony for the new Civic Center building. I'm glad the weather held out, and I was glad to see how many people were there. It's a pretty good showing. Parks and Rec's been pretty quiet this summer, except for they had a meeting last night that I couldn't attend, so I'll get caught up on that. The library front, I would like to welcome Kathleen Meyer into the library board. We're actually going to appoint her here coming up next. She has a lot of passion for the libraries, and I think she's going to be a welcome and valued member. On Canby Fire, during the last meeting, they wanted to extend their thanks to the Urban Renewal Agency and City Council for keeping a promise made by previous urban renewal agencies on helping them fund their apparatus needs. Their focus the last few months has been on the upcoming levy that will go out to the voters during the next election cycle. And lastly, this Saturday at the fairgrounds from 10 to 2 is the safety fair and chili cook-off. My company's been asked to sponsor, and we're going to want everybody to come out and support the event. The CDC is providing pamphlets on how to survive the zombie apocalypse. And I'm not kidding. My company's going to be entering the chili cook-off. If you want to find us, we'll be dressed like the construction workers from the Village People, so listen for the YMCA music. That's where we're going to be.
Awesome.
So I will say, though, it sounds like you have an unfair advantage over the other teams because you now have TV time.
That's their problem.
For those of you that, so this has been a long time fundraiser.
It's for the
a couple of different organizations, and this year it's now for
Canby Fireworks.
Canby Fireworks, which has actually recently been headed up by the Canby Firefighter Volunteer Group. And so, yeah, so it's a major fundraiser. You get to go around, buy tickets and buy bowls of chili, and it's usually a very friendly competition. Usually.
Yeah. We're bringing tools with us.
Well, I'm going to leave that alone for the moment since we're on TV. So, no, it's a great event. So if you've got time, it's this Saturday?
This Saturday from 10 to 2.
10 to 2 at the fairground. So, thank you.
Big white tent.
Big white tent. Perfect. Thank you. Councilor Parker.
Nothing this week. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, sir. Councilor Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a while since we had a meeting.
A little bit.
Last time I was at the fair every day. I think we'll have probably a more expansive report on the fair as we get down that side of the dais, so I won't expand on that. I also went to the Canby Big Night Out, the street dance. We had such a great time. The fire chief told me his estimate was about 750 people. So I couldn't have asked for more for the first time out of the gate. It just went off very well. We did actually meet the following week, kind of debriefed on what we could have done differently, and really, we think we got a couple of good ideas, and we're going to tweak just a few things, but we really don't have to tweak a lot. And it's going to be an annual event, so we're looking forward to planning for next year's kickoff to the Canby Big Weekend. Also attended the groundbreaking for the Civic Center, as well as the groundbreaking at Hope Village for the cottage homes. So we were turning dirt a lot that week. That was fun. Also attended the Clackamas County Arts Alliance Advisory Council's State of the Arts presentation at the Cutts Forks Town Hall. A lot of great ideas were shared about how we can incorporate art and with the community. And actually, library liaison, I had an idea that day. It just hit me because it's something that Mallory said about the garden spot and everything. And it just occurred to me that the library last year had a fundraiser that was a tour of homes for Christmas decorations. What about a tour of gardens as a library
That's a great
fundraiser?
idea.
So you can take that back to the library board meeting next time. See what they think. Anyway, I just thought it was a pretty good idea. And I also went to Canby Fire when they did the 9/11 remembrance. It's always a somber event, but I enjoy going to that. And it's a big appreciation I have for Canby Fire and Canby Police Department for doing that every year. And that concludes my report tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for the, I was out of town, unfortunately, for ours, and usually the Canby Fire does a tremendous job in that remembrance. And so where I was trying to look for an opportunity to go and to see what, and it was really hard to find. They did things, either the weekend before or a couple of days before, but not the day of. And so, and I know this year we had two. We had Canby Fire and then the Ackerman Academy, the Peace Garden there. They had their event as well. So kind of bookend or kind of back-to-back ceremonies. So I really want to commend Canby Fire and then all those that orchestrated the Ackerman Academy one there in the Peace Garden. It's an important piece. And actually my daughter and son were talking about it today, and she got a 9/11 pin. And so my son, who's 9, was like, well, what's that? And so she just rattled off what that was about. So I was impressed that she was at the ripe old age of 11 was able to rattle that off. So yeah. So thank you for those that did go.
Question on your report, if
Yes.
you don't mind. The STIP.
STIP, yes.
Now, are the projects that are currently in the queue still going to be funded? And
So-
I ask because we have one.
Right. So thank you. So 2 years ago, part of the STIP project, so the State Transportation Improvement Plan or project list, went through a very extensive vetting process. And so Canby submitted, I think, 2 or 3 projects to that whole process. And we had, so then they narrowed, so there's a group of 6 people from Clackamas County, Washington County, Multnomah, so 6 from each of those counties that met periodically to go through and dwindle the list. And at one point, 2 of our 3 projects made the 150% cut. And then ultimately, one of the projects that made it was the South Ivy project. So that South Ivy project is a project that is still on the books. It is still going to be funded. It is still, actually, Matilda just sent me a breakdown of just kind of that timeline. And so we've got to coordinate with county, state being ODOT, for that project to come together. But it looks like it's going to be starting somewhere 2017 and in 2018. So this next wave of STIP projects and funding, they're looking at more 2019, 20, and 21. So so those projects, they will be funded as far as we've been told so far. So what's coming up next will be the next wave, and I think we probably have 1 or 2 projects that we will be submitting to try to make that cut. And that's where the Area Commission on Transportation will be playing a role in how those projects get sorted out. And that's where that money will basically end up and then get divvied out amongst all the different counties that make up our Commission on Transportation. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Does that make sense, Mr. Parker?
You think it's going to be all 3 counties and not just Washington County again?
Well, so Councilor Parker brings up an excellent point. So, well, in years past,
Especially if they're moving to a formula on maintenance. Boy, that looks cunning.
well, the reason it's more the fix it because the enhancement projects are so expensive to do.
All right.
And because there isn't the funding coming from a federal standpoint.
I understand that, but Washington County already has all those roads. What it needs is to have them maintained. We still need to have a
Right.
few built out here.
Right, and so as I got the history on this piece, it was interesting because there was a lot of Washington County going, well, if you guys support these projects, we'll support, when it's your turn, we'll support.
And now the money's not there.
And, well, not only is the money not there, but then Washington County went, I'm sorry, did we say what? No, I don't think that's how it came out. And so they then kind of backtracked and hey, it's not a blame thing. It's how it works. If you're not going to fight the fight, then I guess don't get in the ring. So fortunately, it sounds like there's a couple of us at the Clackamas County level that are ready to go.
Go for it, Mayor.
Toe-to-toe
I
with
appreciate it. Thank you.
Washington County. So, yeah, it's the transportation thing is an interesting animal. And, yeah, Brian our planning director can attest to that. So, yeah, it's interesting. So, thank you. Council President Dale.
Mr. Mayor, likewise attended the street dance, the 9/11 ceremonies at Ackerman Academy, and the groundbreaking of the Civic Center. On the Canby utility front, BPA's every other year rate increases are in. And so Canby Utility will be doing their rate study to compensate for that. So we do have increased power rates in our future. But the BPA wholesale price increase was in line with previous years. So nothing shocking, nothing unusual there. But stay tuned. Canby Utility, they'll be having rate hearings soon. And Bob, are we targeting November for those rates to go into effect?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Let's go. We're looking at November for those new rates to go into effect.
And we'll have the public hearing prior to that time.
Exactly. So public hearings prior, stay tuned, looking in your Canby Herald for those announcements. And that concludes.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Wright.
Yes. So at the Canby Adult Center, they have 3 board members that just exited last week. Their term was up, so I wanted to say thank you publicly to Carl Campobasso, Judy Hogland, and Art Hall. So they've done, they were fun to have on the board, and they've done a good job. And the incoming people are Johnny Thayer, Debbie Jewell, and Jim Davis, our fire chief.
Wow.
So little changing of the guard there for that group. They had a mobile dental van that's really popular. It turns out that there's really a big dental health. I didn't know this is a big issue for senior citizens due to health care not covering it. So that's popular, and that's coming. I don't know how often, but it was there last week. They're doing an international dining trip monthly, which is popular too with the residents. So they're going out to various regions, enjoying different types of food. So that's going well. And Medicare open enrollment's coming soon, mid-October. So there's new rules and regulations apparently, and so the Adult Center will have information on that. So that's important for citizens to know. And yeah, school board work session, first day of school was August 31st, on the same day as our groundbreaking, actually. It's going well, according to the school board. Lower class sizes this year, which parents and students and teachers, everyone is excited about, to say the least. Summer school, there were 650 kids that came through that were served, 4 binational teachers from Mexico, I learned. So great experience for those kids. They were still hiring staff as of, I think, last week at the school district level. A lot of, it's 4,700 students enrolled. So yeah, things are going well. So in terms of other community things, groundbreaking, well done. That was a lot of fun and great turnout. And then I was at some of the same events as Tracy. I guess the Hope Village groundbreaking was the next week. So yeah, that was exciting. I went to the fire board meeting for the first time. I saw Todd there. It was interesting to see how they run their show.
It's different, isn't it?
It is. It's quite different. More ceremonial, really. Yeah. It was good. Street dance, rah-rah, to everybody who organized that. That was incredible. I think everybody was very pleasantly surprised. Like, wow, look what we can do. Let's do it again next year for sure. It was fun. Kiwanis and Rotary, I happened to have the chance to drop in on their luncheons lately just to see how it's going. That was good. Bridging cultures, they had their picnic. They've had several picnics, of course, over the course of the summer, and I went last week. Their last one, here's a little community service announcement. This Saturday at Waite Park at 11 a.m. is their last. It's a Latino and Anglo group that comes together. There'll be authentic Mexican food, a band. It should be fun. Waite Park, it's usually at Locust Street, but they're taking it downtown. So this is a new venue for them, so that'll be interesting. And the Peace Garden, I went to the September 11th Ackerman Peace Garden thing with, and Tim was there too. That was the first time they've done that, I think, since Ackerman closed anyway. So it was the Sebastian family and the Kerwins that got that going, and it was well organized.
Good.
It was nice to see lots of members of the community from different kind of walks of the community show up. So I was pleased, and thanks to those guys for doing that. And yeah, and I guess we're going to be appointing, I'm glad that you mentioned Kathleen Myron to the library board. I'm excited. I know her, and I think she'll do a good job. And I'm acquainted with Bruce Parker, who's going to be on Bike and Ped Committee, too. So some involved citizens are joining our committees. I'm excited about that. So on that note, I'm done.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah.
And last but not least, Councilor Coleman.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I also attended the Canby Street Dance with my wife Tammy, and we had a lot of fun. I just congratulate the group that put that together. It was very impressive. I attended the groundbreaking for the Library and Civic Building. I thought that, too, was very well put together, and thank goodness the rain held off. The next day, I attended the Canby Cruise-In the next morning after the street dance. We had really strong winds, which had a big effect on the turnout, but there were still about 200 cars, and this year we had 4 categories and selected the 40 best cars. And it was still a lot of fun. The rain stayed away, but it was pretty windy. I also attended the 9/11 Remembrance, the fire station, and where they sure do a good job. And we need to remember that our police and firefighters and servicemen and women are the real heroes out there. Attended the traffic safety with Tracy this past Monday morning. There was approximately 11 people there. I want to thank City Manager Rick for always being there and giving good support. Our battalion chief, Fire Chief Todd Gary, and new police officer Nolan Booth was there. Just appreciate the group and the job they're doing for our community. Since our last meeting, there was 2 planning commission meetings. I purposely didn't go to one of them because they had a public hearing, and I wanted to be able to participate tonight. And so that would have been ex parte comment. There was a planning commission meeting on Monday, but unfortunately, the meeting had to be canceled because there was not a quorum. And, our planning commissioners do a great job. We have an excellent group. And I'd just like to ask if anyone's interested in, being on the planning commission. We have an outstanding planning director. I would encourage you to call Brian's office and get an application and learn more about it. It's real important work, and we have a lot of projects, and so that would be great.
Do we, Councilor Coleman, do we have 2 spots on?
One.
Just one?
One. But
Okay.
never hurts to have a backup in the bullpen. I also attended the municipal audit meeting this week. We had a visit from our auditing firm, Grove, Mueller & Swank from Salem. One of the CPA auditors there, I hope I say his name right, Ryan Pasquarella, reported that he believes the city is doing a good job. He's happy with the controls we have, and it makes an auditor's job much easier. And I think that's a testament to Haley and Rick. And so that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you, sir. Great reports, everyone. Thank you. We will move into the consent agenda, which is a very full consent agenda.
It is tonight. Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the minutes of the August 19th, 2015 City Council regular meeting, the appointment of Bruce Parker to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2018, the appointment of Kathleen Myron to the Library Board for a term to end on June 30th, 2019, and a change of ownership liquor license application for 76 Food Mart of Canby, and amendments to employment contracts for the city administrator, the city attorney, and the municipal judge.
Motion's been made made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Hensley to approve the consent agenda, which include the minutes of the August 19th, 2015 City Council regular meeting, appointment of Bruce Parker to the Bike and Pedestrian Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2018, appointment of Kathleen Myron to the Library Board for a term to end on June 30th, 2019, and a change of ownership liquor license application for 76 Food Mart of Canby, and amendments to the employment contracts for the city administrator, city attorney, and municipal judge. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Moving into next piece on the agenda is public hearings. The first one is regarding the North Redwood Development Concept Plan, which I believe we are going to carry over and continue.
Yes, because the Planning Commission wasn't able to hear this matter on September 14th, they've rescheduled it to a date certain, September 28th. My recommendation, the City Council continue the public hearing on CPA 1502-TA 1501, North Red Development Concept Plan, to a date certain, October 7th, to occur during the regularly scheduled council meeting beginning at 7:30.
All right. Do you need something official from us on that at all, Rick? Or?
No, just an acknowledgement.
Yes, sir. 9:28 it is. Great.
9:28 for the Planning Commission. It's
Sorry.
10:07 for the...
10:07.
October 7th. Did I say something different?
No, I heard something different. My fault on that. Thank you, Rick. Second item on the public hearing agenda this evening is CPA 15-01/ZC and then 1501/LLA 15-04, and that's the Candy Commons Apartments. And just to double check, Joe, I'm reading the quasi-judicial format, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. The matter presently before the hearing body requires a public hearing. All interested persons in attendance shall be heard on the matter. If you wish to testify on this matter, please fill out one of these fantastic yellow cards and bring it on up, and Joe will make sure that I get it. At the appropriate time, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and interest in the matter. Those people other than the applicants that are interested in testifying as either proponents or opponents, please indicate your desire to speak by raising your hands at this time. Okay, and if you turned in a card, you should have your hand up. Okay. See, all sorts of hands went up on that one. For longer presentations, proponents and opponents may buy time from one another. In so doing, those either in favor or opposed may allocate their time to a spokesperson who will represent the entire group. You may be limited by time for your presentation. The applicant will have a total of, we'll say 5 minutes to speak. Is that going to be enough time this evening for cover material? 5, or do you need more? No? Okay. The proponents will be allowed, we'll also say 5 minutes for each, and, sorry, the applicant will have a total of 5 minutes to speak. The proponents will be allowed 5 minutes each, and the opponents will be allowed 5 minutes each. The applicant will then have 3 minutes for rebuttal. All questions must be directed through the mayor. Any evidence to be considered must be submitted to the hearing body for public access. All written testimony received both for and against shall be summarized by staff and presented briefly to the hearing body during the staff report. Testimony and evidence must be directed toward the applicable review criteria contained in the staff report, the comprehensive plan, or other land use regulations which the person believes to apply to this decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue may preclude appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Conflicts of interest. At this time, I would ask that any member of the hearing body who has a conflict of interest please indicate the nature, thank you, and extent of the conflict, and whether you intend to participate in or abstain from hearing the present matter. Councilor Rocha?
I would say my wife is on the Planning Commission. She wasn't at this meeting, but I will participate.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Parker?
No conflict, will participate.
Thank you. Councilor Hensley?
No conflict, will participate.
Thank you. Council President Dale?
No conflicts, will participate.
I'll get that right one day. Counselor Hay?
No conflicts, will participate.
Thank you.
I'm a liaison to the Planning Commission, but I didn't attend that meeting, so we'll participate.
Great, thank you all. Ex parte contact. Also, if any member of the hearing body has had any ex parte contact with anyone prior to this hearing, including a visit to the site, please declare the nature and extent of such contact at this time. Councilor Rocha?
None.
Councilor Parker?
None.
Councilor Hensley?
I drive by it every day, drew no conclusions.
Okay. Council President Dale? None? And none for you, Councilor Collins. Great. I also have had no conflict of interest, and my ex parte contact has been with the property, just walking past it on the logging trail. And driving by it, I'm on the way to coffee at Starbucks or Fred Meyer. Does any member of the audience have any questions for any counselor or the mayor regarding ex parte contact or conflict of interest? None? Okay. The public hearing will be conducted as follows. There will be a staff report, questions, if any, by the hearing body or staff. We will open the public hearing for testimony. The applicant will have not more than 5 minutes. Proponents, not more than 5 minutes. Opponents, not more than 5 minutes. And then rebuttal by applicant, not more than 3 minutes. Then I will close the public hearing. We will then have further questions, if any, by the hearing body, and then discussion by the hearing body. A decision shall be made by the hearing body at the close of the hearing, or the matter will be continued to a date certain in the future. This will be the only notice of that date you will receive. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure of the hearing? Not seeing none? All right. We will then move into the staff report.
Good evening. Brian Brown, Planning Director, here for the staff report presentation. This request then involves the 3 different applications and a comprehensive plan amendment, which is the easiest way to think of that is this is a request from a development applicant to change the vision of our comprehensive plan for a specified piece of property that's currently located in the Pioneer Industrial Park at 235 Sequoia Parkway. The change that they're requesting is from the M2 heavy industrial zoning or comp plan land use designation and zoning to a high-density R2 zone residential. And the purpose is to accommodate a subsequent proposed apartment complex that would accommodate about 166 market rate apartment units with a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments at this location. The third application that is also critical and so tied right into the comprehensive plan and the rezone is the lot line adjustment. And the reason for that is the property that's under consideration for change of the comp plan designation and the rezone, it consists of 2 existing legal lots of record. And the portion that they want to change the zoning on involves a portion of each. And we don't usually do that, so we need to have those adjusted so the property boundaries of those tax lots will match the area that we're trying to rezone. The total property is about 12.6 acres between the 2 tax lots. And the portion that's proposed to be rezoned is, I believe it's 7.6 acres. And so it's leaving about a 5-acre tract that would not be rezoned. It would retain its M2 designation that it has today. And I wanted you to understand why that lot line adjustment thing is in there. One of the things that we should be focusing on, of course, when you have applications before you this manner, and comp plan amendments are a little different. This isn't actually a review of a development request. That comes later. The review and the review criteria and standards that you should be considering, I was going to go through those real quick. For the comprehensive plan amendment, you should be considering the comprehensive plan of the city, as well as plans, policies of the county, state, or any local school or service districts that might be affected by the proposed amendment. You should consider whether all public facilities and services exist or will be provided concurrent with the anticipated development of the area. For the proposed comprehensive plan amendments, which that consider long-term adequacy of the transportation system, we have to consider the transportation planning rules. So if you've read and reviewed the staff report, there's lots of information in there about the transportation planning rule and how that did impact this particular request. And in those cases, ODOT must be consulted, determine whether a project is suitable in their eyes. And it was determined to be suitable. It took us a while to get to that point, and I commend the applicant and the work that the planning staff actually had to do, working with the state agency to come to that conclusion so we could get this to you, at least to consider. The proposed comprehensive plan amendment or zone change that's in this case initiated by a private interest, shall be reviewed to determine whether it significantly affects a transportation facility. And that, again, is in accordance with the transportation planning rule. And when that is done, there are several criteria that you look at, and one of them would be, would it reduce the performance of a facility below the minimum acceptable performance standard that's identified in our transportation plan? And in this case, we actually, through a traffic study that was performed and paid for by the applicant, we discovered that the intersection at Hazeldale Way and Sequoia Parkway has an existing deficiency. And the proposed rezone incrementally, a small amount, but incrementally adds to that deficiency. Because of that, the transportation planning rule comes into play, and through their criteria, it was found that it was a significant difference. Because it was a significant difference, they are responsible for mitigating, or the city is responsible for mitigating that deficiency that exists and would be greater as a result of the rezone. That's where there was a proposal to mitigate through the installation of a traffic signal at that intersection. That mitigation, kind of a surprise to everyone, was a project that isn't currently listed in our transportation system plan, which isn't that old. It was done in 2010. Apparently, when that analysis was done, they assumed that traffic would be coming out of the Fred Meyer Shopping Center onto Sequoia from two different driveways, one in front of Fred Meyer and one behind, and they allocated the traffic equally. Therefore, there was no need for a signal light at that time. The new analysis, new and improved, indicated that, well, that isn't how the traffic's really operating, and there already is an existing deficiency at that intersection. The deficiency is simply your wait to get out is longer than it really should be by our adopted standards, and that results in potential traffic safety considerations because people get antsy and they try to pull out when cars are coming to make that left turn to go out to the highway. And that's important, and I just wanted to make sure the council was aware that if you should move towards approving these amendments tonight, that staff has a letter that's in the packet that indicates that we are proposing, and it's basically becoming a condition of approval of this amendment and rezone, that we would add the signal light at this intersection by amending our transportation plan and adding the signal light to our capital improvement list. And by doing that, we are also removing an equivalent priced project that's on our current list so that it can reasonably be funded in the next 20 years. So no one's proposing to go out and erect the signal immediately, but by doing what we're proposing, we satisfy all the transportation planning criteria and rules and indicate that there's a reasonable chance that a signal could be installed within the next 20 years because that's the way the transportation system plan is developed, that it anticipates we'll have enough revenue to actually build the projects that are listed in the capital list within that 20-year period. The project that's actually proposed to be removed is left turn bays on Township Road where it meets Sequoia. So, and that's where we just installed four-way stop signs. And that was part of the project. This is a more expensive part of the project that is way down the road, certainly not needed anytime soon. The stop signs are working great, and we're really glad that we put that portion of that project in at this time. I wanted you to know what projects and how that is working with this proposal. The map change criteria, very similar to the comprehensive plan where it says, consider the comprehensive plan giving special attention to Policy 6. Policy 6 is about special defined areas that our comprehensive plan identifies. This is not one of those, so it's irrelevant. And again, looking at the plans of the county, state, local districts to preserve functions and local aspects of land conservation and development. And again, whether all required public facilities and services are going to be provided concurrent with potential development of this site if it's rezoned. I won't go through the lot line adjustments. They usually don't come before the council. In this case, I explained why they are. In the staff report, if I can find it here, it's up in the front. That's the minutes. That's not the staff. Council staff report is what I'm looking for. There it is. We had this application submitted back in June 9th. And I just kind of pointed that out because staff had to do considerable amount of work to satisfy, as I mentioned, the Oregon Department of Transportation's requirements. In fact, we had to do a supplemental transportation study after the initial one to specifically address signal light concerns that ODOT raised by erecting that at the Hazeldale and Sequoia Parkway because of its proximity to the highway. They were worried that it might not function properly. We satisfied their concerns with that additional supplemental study. They did recommend 3 additional conditions that they thought should apply when that signal is erected. One was a longer left turn bay turning onto Hazeldale that's on Sequoia. Another one was adding a second lane to the main driveway coming out of Fred Meyer. And that should be easy to accomplish because it was identified on the approved site plan for the Fred Meyer Shopping Center when they got that approved. I forget now whether that was 94 or when that went in. Quite some time ago, they identified specifically that when a signal went in, they would widen their driveway. The third item. I've forgotten what the third item was. Anyway, we amended the supplemental transportation study to include those 3 items to satisfy ODOT's recommendations when a signal light is done. So that's documented, so we won't forget that we need to do those things as well. The last thing about that transportation mitigation is that because of the rezone and triggering the TPR, we are able and allowed to assess that